Well, that was definitely something. That was really, really something there from the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. They beat the Washington Capitals by a score of 7-4. 7-4, yes. The Flyers got outshot in this game. Oh, it was crazy. 37-23. I think Washington almost had I think around 30 shots. Yeah, exactly 30 from like after two periods in this game. I would say overall the third period was much better for the Flyers. The second period was too. The Washington Capitals, they went up 2-0 to start this game, and the Flyers outscored them 7-2 after that. So I guess that's something to look bright at, but there's still, I would say, glaring issues that are happening now. It's good. Sean Couturier came back into this game, and hey, he had 3 points and he was +4 on the night. Sean Couturier had a fantastic day in the office. Scott Laughton with a hat trick. Who would have expected Scott Laughton to have a hat trick in this game? By far his best game of the season. James Van Riemsdyk just showcasing how he's been the best Flyer so far this season. Another point in this game. I think he had 3 points in this game with a goal. JVR has been lighting up the lamp. He has been very good for the Flyers so far to start the season, and we've been giving him so much beef since Hextall signed him to that contract. But this year, right now, he is earning his money. He is really earning his money, and he is having an incredible start to the season. Hopefully, he can keep that pace. And the more I think about this, the Alex Ovechkin, man, no wonder why this guy is my favorite my favorite NHL player ever. Man, that guy, he was on another level tonight. He was on another level. The first goal he scored, the way he undressed Phil Myers, I was like, huh? Oh my god. I was just like, oh my goodness. Even though he didn't score on that goal, just the move he did in order to get the puck over to Tom Wilson for that goal, I was just like, oh my. Oh my, I was seeing stars. I was just like, oh boy. Oh boy. And then I would say Ovi had a great game. Really, really great game. He was a goal away from the hat trick. But Carter Hart, he did make some big saves in this game. But there are still a little bit of glaring issues in this game where he's allowing a couple of soft goals. And I'm not trying to knock the kid, because it's growing pains. He's a very young goaltender. And you're going to experience growing pains when, how old is he? 21, 22 years old? You're going to experience those growing pains. And I think right now, we are getting into the growing pains. He's just making allowing some soft goals to go in. And credited too, there's a bunch of defensive breakdowns in front of him. And yes, he cannot stop every single shot. But there were some plays in this game, I think especially the last two goals Washington scored, where I think he should have stopped. I personally believe he should have stopped those goals. But just going into the game in general, let's start off. It was very back and forth. Scott Laughton almost had a chance on an empty net, and it got blocked in front of the net. And it was really just back and forth both sides. Washington was getting some chances. Flyers were getting some chances. But you can really tell the physicality from the top line of the Capitals with Ovi, Backstrom, and Tom Wilson was a little bit too much for the Flyers to handle. It was very evident the entire game on the way that line plays, especially the way how physical Ovi and Tom Wilson play. It was a little bit too much for our guys to handle, especially early on going throughout this game. And like I said, halfway through, a little bit more back and forth. But then we get to the halfway point, and there's a stoppage of play. We go to commercial. We really don't know. Everyone thought it was offsides at first. But then we come back from commercial break. Apparently, the Capitals have a power play. And it didn't take that long for them. The Flyers eventually did clear the puck first, but the transition game from the Capitals brought the puck right in. And the Flyers do the common mistake of which every other NHL team does when they play Alex Ovechkin. They leave him wide open in the left side on the power play, and you know what Alex Ovechkin does when he's wide open. He is going to snipe one, and that's exactly what he did against Carter Hart. And last season when the Flyers played the Capitals, they held, I think, Ovi pointless the entire season series, so he was definitely overdue for getting some points against the Flyers, and he definitely showcased it tonight. Hell of a shot by Alex Ovechkin. I'm not going to really blame Hart. You're leaving Alex Ovechkin wide open on the left side. He's going to score, I would say, 90 to 95% of the time. That's basically just what's going to happen. And just early on in that power play, thank God it was the only power play in this game. It was actually too many men on the ice for the Flyers. And I think it was a little bit of miscommunication between the defensemen, Justin Braun, Phil Myers, and Shane Gostisbehere. And also coming into this game, Travis Sanheim is out day-to-day with an undisclosed injury, so we don't know anything there. So you're going to have to deal... You had Provorov, Myers as your top unit, Ghost and Braun as your second, and then Haig and Gustafsson as your third. So I think there was a little bit of miss from Travis Sanheim, even though he also hasn't had the best start to the season. I think there was a definite miss of Sanheim in the lineup, but to get off of that point, the second goal was scored, I think, at least like 4 or 5 minutes later. The Tom Wilson goal was just like, oh my, you just got to appreciate that. Alex Ovechkin just completely undressed Phil. I feel bad for the kid. I feel so bad because Ovi does that on a daily basis. Phil Myers is just one of the victims, and Ovi has done that too over his entire career. And just, I think now Ovechkin is like by himself 7th all-time on the NHL goals list. So he's going to continue racking up those goals, and he played a phenomenal game tonight, Ovechkin. He definitely did. And the Flyers, they just looked lost, I would say, especially on that Tom Wilson goal. You can admire the Ovechkin play all you want, but it felt like the Flyers on the other side of the play, they were a little bit puck watching. You had 2 guys on Backstrom who was in front of the net, but there was no one guarding Tom Wilson. And then you have Nolan Patrick lackadaisically getting back into the play, who honestly should have been in front of Wilson to prevent him from getting to that puck to put it into the open net. So 3 Flyers puck watching allows Ovechkin to get the easy tap in for Tom Wilson. So a little bit of defensive miscues right there, plus the fantastic play by Ovechkin. So it felt like just after that Ovechkin goal, the Flyers they looked lost. They looked like they were just too scared to do anything. But then when you get to the end of the period, they started the forecheck a little bit. You got the JVR, Scott Laughton line, Joel Farabee line, which was honestly the best Flyers line once again for the past 3 nights in a row. And you get an impressive play. JVR forces a turnover, which allows the Flyers to come up the ice. And even though JVR has been fantastic in this game, actually, I think JVR did that on the second goal in the second period. This goal, the Flyers bringing up, you got a little bit of a 2-on-1 action between Joel Farabee and Scott Laughton. Laughton hands it over to Farabee, who he leaves right for Scott Laughton because Farabee couldn't take the shot, and Laughton buries it, and it's a 2-1 Flyers lead. Well, not 2-1 Flyers lead. What am I saying? I am so scrambled because this game was so weird. This game was weird. It's a 2-1 Capitals lead, thank you very much. So, little moments in the first period where you looked like you were lost, and there was moments where it was a lot of back and forth play, and you somehow are only down by 1 goal. And the Capitals, especially past the halfway point in that period, they were racking the shots up. The shot totals were 15-8 in favor of the Capitals. But then the Flyers, they don't take that long. They don't take that long to score early in the second period. JVR forces a turnover. The Flyers bring it up the ice. They get some shots on net, and then Vanacek for the Capitals, their netminder, I say makes a little bit of a mistake, which also puts in the mind of Joel Farabee because he got a stick in the way. Vanacek tries to clear the puck to the side, and I think Joel Farabee gets a piece of the puck, which allows it to go over to Scott Laughton, who's on the red line, and somehow puts it into the open net, and the game is tied. But not that long after, Ovechkin doing his thing. He's literally just by himself on the blue line, on the point, taking shots. Robert Haig with a block. But the Flyers can't figure out how to get the puck out of the zone. Capitals, they find Ovechkin again. It's Backstrom and Wilson. They find Ovechkin. Takes the shot from the point, and it goes off the post and in by Carter Hart. And it's a 3-2 Capitals lead. So, this is one of the goals. Maybe you could say that one of the people in front of Carter Hart screened him, and that was allowed the puck to go in. But I think Carter Hart should have had this puck because I think it's just too far of a shot to allow the puck to go into the net, and it's just a hell of a response by the Capitals at the same time. Defensive breakdowns and just allowing a soft goal, in my opinion. I think that's a goal Carter Hart would definitely want back. He can also even say he would want the first Ovechkin goal back. I feel like there's a lot of goals in this game that Carter Hart, he's always going to say he wants some of those goals back. And like I said, it's the growing pains that you're going to be dealing with for Carter Hart as he gets older. And I think right now, with him allowing some of the soft goals, we're experiencing some of those growing pains. I'm not going to try to knock the kid. I'm just going to point out what I see. It's growing pains right now. And the Flyers, they do respond not that long after. It's the fourth line getting a chance. Nicolas Aube-Kubel and Sean Couturier, he was playing on the fourth line for most of this game. I'd say for the first 2 periods. He was playing on the fourth line. And the way this play set up, oh my god, I was just like, how the hell did this happen? You got Couturier bringing up the puck, hands it off to Albe Kubel, who then hands it off to Robert Haig, who is winding up for a clap, and it goes in. I'm just like, whoa, whoa, Robert Haig, who made you mad? that was one hell of a shot. One hell of a shot by Haig, and he ties the game at 3. And then the Flyers are not done there. So, closer towards the end of this game, the Capitals' first line, they get a chance in the zone once again. Ovechkin, he tries to clear the puck into the zone to force Carter Hart to force a face-off. But then Carter Hart, instead, he plays the puck up to Phil Myers. He plays the puck up, then Phil Myers hands it off to James Van Riemsdyk, who's one-on-one in the zone. The puck is bouncing a little bit on his stick, and he uses that to advantage as he puts the shot on net, and it goes by Vanecek, and it's a 4-3 Flyers lead. And then the Capitals pull Vanecek, because the Flyers at this point, I think, only had 4 goals on like so many little shots. I think 13. So Laviolette decides to pull Vanecek, 4-3 Flyers lead. But then I think this is around the 50-second mark. Another defensive breakdown by the Flyers. It's the first line out there again by the Capitals. And just Ovechkin, you have Backstrom completely wide open in front of Carter Hart. Carter Hart going down on his belly, and he gets a piece of it from Backstrom. Backstrom just skating backwards all by himself, can do whatever he wants. Hart gets a piece of it, and it trickles by him, and it's a 4-4 game. And I think that's also another one of those goals that, even though it was a complete defensive breakdown, it was. Carter Hart needs to stop that puck, in my opinion. He got the piece of it. I think he needs to stop that fully. I think he also lost his footing a little bit just because of how that play was transpiring. But I think he does need to get that shot because you cannot allow the Caps to respond after you just made it 4-3. So you go into the period up. You go to the period tied 4-4. I don't know why I'm messing up so much, but you're tied. You are tied 4-4. Like I said, I have no idea what the hell this game was. This game was just so crazy. I think it made my brain scrambled. It just did. But I like what Alain Vigneault did to start off this period. He put Sean Couturier with Jake Voracek and Michael Raffl to start the period off against the top line for the Capitals. So they win the faceoff. They get the puck into the zone. They're forechecking. They're battling. They're getting shots onto the net. And then you got Sean Couturier finding the rebound in the slot. And he manages to put it by Craig Anderson. And it's a 4-3 Flyers lead. And you get the goal 30 seconds into the game. You got to credit Alain Vigneault for putting that line out there. Putting Sean Couturier out there in the start off the third period against the Capitals top line. That is a fantastic change by Alain Vigneault. Just to change up the momentum. But then you got the Capitals. They're starting to get their chances. Carter Hart, I think, played a lot better in this third period. But the Flyers, I think, overall defensively, played a much better third period. But there were still those instances where they couldn't clear the zone. They couldn't get pucks out. And the Capitals were holding the puck into the zone for a little bit of time. But then the Flyers, they eventually do. They get a power play in this period. They do. The Flyers had a couple power plays throughout this entire game. And the power play looked terrible. I don't think that's news, though. The power play has looked like shit. Oh, my God. It looked so bad this game. It felt like they were trying so hard to force plays. The puck was bouncing everywhere. People couldn't handle passes. And it was just flat out terrible. You got a 4-minute double minor in this power play in this period. And you couldn't generate anything. I think going into that double minor in the first 2 power plays they had before that, they had no shots. I think in total in the power play, they had maybe like 1 or 2. Had 1 or 2 shots or something like that. Just, the power play looked bad. It looked flat out bad, and I'm not going to go into any more detail. It's just looked bad. It just looked so bad. But it still continues. I feel like the Flyers, they played much better defensively in this third period, and that also is the hand on Sean Couturier getting better ice time. And I honestly think guys like Provorov, I think Phil Myers, even though besides what Ovechkin did to him, I think Phil Myers had a decent game. Justin Braun honestly had an underrated game. Robert Haig had a really good game. So there are some underlying players that had some really good games for the Flyers today. I do believe that. So Washington, they continue to press. They can't get as many shots as they were in the beginning of the game. But the Flyers, like I said, they're hampering it down defensively. They're, I would say, they're keeping Washington to the outside. And even though they are struggling to clear the puck, there were some instances where they got that break and they managed to get the puck out of the zone. And it went down to the end of the game. And Washington, this was before they pulled Craig Anderson. The Flyers get a chance going up the ice. And You got Joel Farabee, Michael Raffle, and then you got Scott Laughton burying in the goal to make it 6-4 Flyers, and it's a hat trick for Scott Laughton. Like, seriously, who would have thought a hat trick for Scott Laughton? Not me, to say the least. Washington calls a timeout. Offensive zone face-off. Capitals, they're pressuring a little bit. Sean Couturier wins a puck battle, clears the puck all the way down the ice, goes off the post and into the net, and it's a 7-4 Flyers lead, and that's how your game is going to end, with the Flyers winning 7-4. Like I said, there are still many glaring issues. Heavily outshot this game, 37-26. You cannot be outshot like that, 37-23. You cannot be relying to score 7 goals on 23 shots every single night. You just cannot do that. You have to shoot more, and there were instances where the Flyers needed to shoot more, and they didn't. So they need to shoot more. Power play has to be much better. Has to be completely better. Penalty kill has to be better. It definitely has to be way better. And then Carter Hart, I wouldn't say he had a flat-out terrible game. It wasn't his best game, because he's still allowing a little bit of those soft goals. And like I said, credit to the mind, there are a ton of defensive breakdowns in front of him, but I feel like some of those defensive breakdowns, a goalie has to stand up for your players who make the mistakes. And Carter Hart, even though the Flyers won this game, I feel like he didn't play his best. And there have been shaky moments for him the first so many games for him to start the season. He had a good stretch of games after that Boston game where they lost 6-1. This, I would say, has been his worst game since that game. The games against the Islanders were good. The one game he had against Boston on Wednesday night was good. The team just completely flattened out for him. But I think this is probably his worst game since that game where he showed that frustration. And he's definitely going to point that out too. He's definitely going to point out he needs to stop those pucks and he needs to be better. And I firmly agree with him. I trust him to make those adjustments. And like I said, it's growing pains with a young goaltender. But like I said, the problems are still there and needed to find a way to fix it. Having Sean Couturier back in the lineup definitely helps. Hopefully Travis Sanheim is not out for much longer. And maybe as the days goes on, it eventually gets gradually better and better. But it's still there. And right now, through I think like 10, 11, 12 games into the season, this Flyers team is a little bit different than they were last year. I would say, I think it's obvious that they're just overall worse defensively than they are last year. But who knows, as the season goes along, do they get better? We just don't know. We have to wait for time to tell. But, hey, you won 7-4. But like I said, the glaring issues are still there. So, they win tonight. We can enjoy the rest of the day. We can enjoy the Super Bowl tonight. So, I guess right now, all is good. So, what are your thoughts on this Flyers game? What are your thoughts on Sean Couturier's return, Scott Laughton's hat trick? What are your thoughts on Carter Hart's game? I want even Ovechkin's game. I think him, Backstrom, and Tom Wilson, I think total that line had 11 points tonight for the Capitals. So yeah, those guys went off. Ovi had 4 points, Backstrom had 3, and I think Tom Wilson had 4. Yeah, so that line went off. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. So don't forget to leave those comments. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to check out the Painted Lines, which I am a part of. Their links will be in the description below. Don't forget to check out the Fired Up Podcast merchandise website. That link will also be in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time.